Edmond Kagambe. Before I begin my address, I'd like to say a few things about myself so that you know who is talking before you. So I am Bishop Robert Muhiirwa, the Bishop of Fort Portal Diocese. I am born just across here in Ibonde, just after Nyakasua. Born 1958 on the 25th of October. And I studied at St. Mary's Minor Seminary, after which I went to Katigo National Seminary, then Kawa National Seminary, and then I was ordained in 1985, 11th August. Then I was appointed as chaplain St. Leo's College, Chegobe, and I'm proud to say I have two of my students whom I taught. Among those is Dr. Edmond Kagambe and Dr. Justice Kintu. Those are here at Mountains of the Moon, so I'm very proud of them, and there are many others who are scattered all over the country and some abroad. After my appointment at St. Leo's College, I went for a master's degree at the University of Notre Dame, Indiana in the US, and after which I continued for a doctorate degree in Duquesne University in the area of spirituality. I returned 1998, where I was made parish priest of Bukwali Parish, and after which I was made parish priest of Ville Cathedral, and 2003 was made bishop of Fort Portal Diocese. When bishop, I was made member of the governing council of Uganda Matters University in Kozi, and about the same time also became member of the Mountains of the Moon University as it was starting till 3 years ago when the government took over. We handed over to those who were appointed by the government. And at the same time also, as I speak now, I am a member of the Catholic University of Eastern Africa in Nairobi. So I'm a little informed about the university happenings. Dr. Rosalind Nyamtale, member of the Governing Council, Management of Mountains of the Moon University, led by Professor Pius Coxwell. The religious leaders present, our political leaders, distinguished guests. Special way, I recognize Professor Ralph, the members of staff, the guild executive, relatives of late Father Alrbert, students, ladies and gentlemen, in your respective capacities. I'm going to say a few things concerning the late Father Alrbert, but first of all, I'd like to appreciate the Vice Chancellor, Professor Pius Achang, for inviting me to give this lecture on late Father Alrbert Byaruhanga Abwoli, along with the theme Celebrating Success in Unity, a testament to growth and transformation, as read in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 3. Permit the Lord whatever you do, and you will establish your plans. So I'd like to speak about the family background of Father Alrbert, his education and formation, the duties assigned to him by the Rise of Fort Portal and also the NRM government, his outstanding qualities, his passing on, and what you may take home. Father Alrbert Byaruhanga was the fifth child born of Mr. Babuza Patrick and Teresa Kiza Babuza, who was born on the 12th of June 1951 in Bugusu village, located on Kaseso Road, close to Bachapera Market, found in Karole district. Those of you who are familiar with that market there, can easily identify. He was baptized by late Father Serapio Wamara on the 24th of June, 1957, on the birthday of St. John the Baptist. His godfather was his uncle, Simeon Kabururu, who was a catechist in Karugutu. He belonged to the Bakoyo clan. Those of you who belong to the Bakoyo clan, you know that very well, I believe. I imagine his parents must have chosen his name very carefully because they recognized some godliness in him, so they called him Byaruhanga, in Utoro, which means it is for God. His father, Patrick, worked in the palace of the King Rukidi III of Toro Kingdom as secretary between 1950s and 1960s. Father Alrbert had a special love for his clanmates and was proud to be known as a Mukoyo, also associated very closely with his relatives. I remember him visiting my family when I was small, with his sister spending a night at home. I came later to learn that her mother's clan, the Muchwa or Mshakati, was the same as my paternal grandmother and the neighboring family of late Mr. Byaruhanga. So he often sent greetings to these people in my village, Nibonde, because he knew his roots very well. And now I'll talk about his education and formation. He attended part of his primary school in Nyansozi Primary School between 1960 and 1966. He joined St. Mary's Minor Seminary of Virika from P7 to Senior 1. Later moved to St. John Bosco Minor Seminary in Hoima in Senior 2 because he had some difficulty with the Latin language. He completed his Senior 4 in 1971 at St. John Bosco in Hoima. To go back a bit, when at Nyansozi Primary School, he was said to be working very hard as a young man. The school required pupils to carry some stones and sand for some construction. He carried these materials every day for school, so faithful that one day he fell sick due to carrying heavy loads of stone that he used to carry, testament from his mother, Teresa. At Nyansozi Primary School, his contemporaries were Reverend Joseph Mugenyi, the auxiliary bishop of Fort Portal, who is retired. During his early years, his childhood and youth, the following historical events took place, namely the election of the first Ugandan Archbishop, Joseph Kiwanuka, in 1961. Then also there was the independence of Uganda on the 19th of October 1962. And then also that was followed by the canonization of the Uganda Martyrs of 20th October 1964 by Pope Paul VI. The same Pope came to Uganda in 1969 between 31st July to August 1969, and he witnessed the ordination of several bishops who included Bishop Serapio Magambo at Kololo on the 1st of August. And Father Alrbert, as a young boy, was there to witness this occasion. So I suppose these events must have somehow inspired him to love priesthood. During his long vacation, after Senior 4, he got a teaching job at Mukole Primary School. This is in Chenjo District. He was appointed as teacher in charge of sports and discipline. The headmaster at the school was Mr. Mubu. The teacher with him was Amon Betwamasa. Some of the peoples he taught include Edith Rwamaro, working in the government, and Major Irumba of UPDF. He joined Katigondo National Major Seminary in Masaka between 1972 to 1974 for his philosophical and social studies. Upon completing his studies there, he obtained a diploma in philosophy. While there, he got an idea of joining the Montfort Fathers, an international congregation of priests and brothers, which was then in Mbarara Archdiocese. While he joined Gaba National Seminary, that's in Kampala, 1974-1975 for theology, the following year, he went to England to join the Montfort Fathers. It is probably this missionary congregation that sent him to the Gregorian University in Rome for his theology between 1976 and 1979. He graduated from that university with a bachelor's degree in sacred theology. In between, he also studied some French and obtained a diploma in that language from Paris in France. He returned to Uganda in 1979 and was ordained deacon on 17th May 1980 and a priest on the 19th of October 1980. A rare thing to be ordained in two orders in the Catholic Church, the diaconate and also priesthood, the same year. It normally takes over a year, but for him was able to obtain the two orders in the same year. While already at his different assignments with the bishop of the diocese, Bishop Magamba at the time, he also worked with the government of Uganda. He took a course in human resource management of long-distance learning. He was able to graduate with a master's degree awarded by the City University of Los Angeles, USA in 1994 in human resource management. The duties and assignments given to Father Alrbert Byaruhanga. He was a teacher of English at St. Mary's Minor Seminary between 1980 and 1984. He was also teaching medical ethics at Virka School of Nursing at the same time. He was also chaplain at St. Maria Goretti Senior Secondary School, Kevambe Girls. In the same period, he was coordinator of social communications of the diocese. At the same time, he was the chief editor of Rwenzori Echo. I remember he used to contribute some articles to the same magazine, Nero Toro, when I was at Gaba National Seminary. He did improve this magazine to the Standard of Leadership magazine. In 1985, he was in charge of relief services, the diocese, at the time of Liberation War. He later transformed the Relief Service Office into a diocesan social development office comprising of various departments: the Education, Health Commission, Justice and Peace. Eventually, others were added like microfinance, gender development, health and water, sanitation, which is now called Kawasa, and agricultural development and environment. For some years, he served as a member of the board of governors of Virk Hospital and eventually was made the chairman of the board for the hospital. It was during this time that there was a terrible earthquake in 1994 that destroyed Virk Hospital. He was so instrumental in raising funds for the reconstruction of that hospital to its current state. He was assigned other duties, like, as mentioned by Dr. Hagambe, it was during that time that the Liberation War was at its climax. If you know the history around that time, 1985, 86, some towns in Uganda were run over, but there was no fighting in Fort Portal. And I will tell you a little bit about this. I was here in Saka for a retreat preparing for ordination. So we just have, during our retreat, we had people jubilating. And then we came to find out that there was some peaceful negotiation that took place in the bishop's office, or Bishop Magambo. The bush, the guerrillas were in the bush, and the army that was in power at that time, they sat and agreed that they should not fight. They hand over power peacefully. Father Alrbert was at the heart of this negotiation with Bishop Magambo and others. So the peace that we enjoy here at Fort Portal is partly contributed by him. So because of that takeover, so this part of the country was freed, where the other part of the country was still under Lutwa. So they made a commission. They made him a commissioner of the education from NRM government during that peace war, and the offices were at Muhiirwa. He had other many duties which I need not elaborate, but he was a member and chairman of different schools around, including Wimi, Mpanga, and others. But outstanding, which is for our great interest, he was a trustee of Mountains of the Moon University here. And later he was made chairman of the governing council, Mountains of the Moon University. And it is on these roles that I add the words of Father Christopher Mkidi, who was a registrar here. When Mountains of the Moon University was conceived, Father Alrbert understood the great contribution of the university would bring to Toro as a region and the country at large. In his style, he connected with volunteer missionary movement, VMM, which sent us Dr. Patrick Davy as the first Vice-Chancellor of Mountains of the Moon University. So he can readily be called a co-founder of this university in inception. This was said at the homily of his burial. He was appointed by the government and contributed a lot to the School of Political Education, which is located in Chankwanzi. He contributed to rehabilitation education of the program of the young NRM soldiers known as the Kadogos, together with Captain Rubale. He worked under Mzee Kiseka, the then Prime Minister of Uganda, and was made in charge of rehabilitation and became the Dean of Students at Mbarara University, and became a diplomat with foreign affairs. He was appointed as Special Assistant to His Excellency President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni on special duties and responsibility he held the time of his passing on. He established links with some European countries, including Australia, Holland, and others. He introduced to Uganda an NGO like SNV, the Dutch Organization for Development Cooperation. He did many linkage with other foreign countries, which I don't have to go into the details. I'd like now to address his outstanding qualities, which may be a great lesson for all of us. The first outstanding quality was reliability. In spite of his many years in politics, Father Alrbert always kept his word. If he told you that he could do something, he would do it, and would do it his best. If he failed, he would tell you why. We have held many meetings together with Father Alrbert. Because of his efficiency and reliability, people often asked him to carry out those various duties. One was always sure that he would deliver. In short, he was honest and a man of his word. The second outstanding quality is punctuality. Closely linked with reliability, Father Albert's insistence on punctuality was outstanding. He would travel to and fro Kampala, Fort Portal to execute a duty, and vice versa. He would be able to be on time even earlier by a few minutes. If he was to be late, and if he would not be able to make it at all, he would courteously call and apologize for that. Professor Oswald Ndoledire compared him with the late Vice President Dr. Samson Kisaka. Professor Sebambi were known to be very punctual. He goes on to add, it was refreshing to know that there is a Ugandan out there who respects time. And if a meeting is scheduled for 2 p.m., he would be there a few minutes before. So much time and money is wasted in Uganda because of people giving no value to time. And yet we are in a very fast-moving world where every minute matters. Majority of us do not seem to appreciate the importance of time. We need many more Father Alberts for this country to move. This was said on his birthday on the 12th of June 2001. Number 3, time management. In order for Father Alrbert to be punctual, he had to manage his time, and indeed, he managed his time. Otherwise, he would not have played equally a key role in the Diocese of Fort Portal and managed to balance his stay and activities in Kampala and Fort Portal, travel widely within the country and abroad, and do 1,000 and more things, including a founding member and key figure in Cage Fodder, which brings together Christians of Fort Portal Diocese, residents in Kampala, Entebbe, and Jinja. To do all the above, and very efficiently too, Father Alrbert had fully grasped the value of time. That's why he was able to do the work which in other circumstances could be done by 3 people or more. And Father Alrbert did all this with serenity and kept his cool, and even had time to relax. He had some hobbies where he played lawn tennis, table tennis, liked to read, and follow local and international news. He had time for prayer. Quality number 4, development-minded. He was development-minded. This is seen from the developmental projects initiated or which he started through his guidance and collaboration with others. The examples of these are the following: improving relief office of Fort Portal Diocese, making the social development and department with other smaller ones of the programs I mentioned earlier. He helped to grow the microfinance, which he combined with other dioceses of Hoima, Kasese, which became Hofokam, which we have now for the 3 dioceses. He too was a co-founder of Karo Research Center, KRC, Virka Pharmaceuticals, VPS. Beneath all these initiatives is a component of development for individuals and the community, not just for himself. Number 5, living moderately. Father Alrbert was a man of some means and who could have offered to live an extravagant life. This was not the case. However, through the teachings of the sages of all ages, moderation was his rule. No indulging in overeating, in sumptuous festivities, in alcohol consumption, and other pleasures of the flesh. Conscientious living was definitely not one of his hobbies. This definitely helped Father Alrbert fulfill many of his tasks efficiently and effectively, and to maintain a healthy mind and a healthy body and spirit. This also helped him to be of service to so many people, both individuals and groups. It's not surprising that he lived a simple life because he was generous with his resources. As mentioned by Dr. Kagambe, his house in Kampala at Wempewa Avenue was the home of many people. Besides his own relatives, many people went there for accommodation, priests, religious, and lay people, including many orphans whom he helped as their foster parent. He always received all with much hospitality, offered what he could without reservations. Number 6, diplomacy. Father Alrbert was a defined diplomat. He was at ease and at par with great men and women of this world. He wined and dined with ambassadors and foreign delegations, just as he mixed freely and felt at home with all his faithful, whether in Kampala or in Fort Portal. He was therefore accessible to all sorts of people, and his alertness and sense of humor made it easy for people to have access to him. Number 7, first and foremost, a priest. Father Alrbert endeavored throughout his life to respect and live up to his priestly vocation. He was in daily limelight and was exposed on a daily basis to worldly things, the best and the worst. But Father Alrbert remained a priest. He systematically dressed as a priest. He was always putting on his collar. Whatever the circumstances, he remained the world that basically that's what he was. He therefore made no effort to disguise his status, and this helped him to live the people's expectations. That is why many people who knew him took him first and foremost as a true priest. He had time for personal prayer. You could celebrate Mass every day, attend retreats. I remember attending retreats with him with Dr. Gambe at the Sisters of St. Komboni in Namugongo. He would engage in other spiritual exercises despite the numerous duties where he was involved in. In his travels between Fort Portal and Kampala to and fro, he always liked to recite the Rosary. He was quite prayerful at heart. I believe he had been inspired by St. Alrbert the Great, his patron saint, who was a doctor and bishop and teacher who lived in Germany between 1206 and 1280. He belonged to the order of preachers, Dominicans. He is well known for having taught St. Thomas Aquinas and other great saints. Those are his outstanding qualities, a few of them. I want to mention something about his passing on. Father Alrbert passed on, as we have been told, 26 October 2009, when he was rushed to Mubeni Hospital after being involved in a motor accident on Kampala Fort Portal Road. at Kienda. The post-mortem report revealed that he had sustained fractures in the right forearm, or the limbs, and the left leg. Internally, the liver was found damaged and his heart punctured. I got this news when I was in Germany, just entering the office of Muhiirwa. So the lady, Dr. Cora, diplomatically told me Alrbert is critical condition, he's just sick. Kind of helped me to ease down, but afterwards, I learned he was actually dead. So this lady helped me to begin making my journey back and stop whatever I was doing. There was a requiem mass celebrated at President King Parish in Kampala. And so many mourners came, including the president of this country, who was the chief mourner. We had the funeral mass in Virika, who was represented by late Kirunda Kivejinja. There are so many people of all walks of life, different faiths, age groups, diplomats. The cathedral was jam-packed, and while there's so many crowds all around, many speeches were given praising him for what he did to serve humanity locally, nationally, and internationally. We pause for a moment of silence to remember him. May his soul rest in eternal peace. The question is, what do you take home from what has been said about Father Alrbert? What can you learn from this great man, Father Alrbert Byaruhanga Aboli? Do you know your origins, your clans, your relatives? How do you relate with them? He knew his relatives and respected them as a Mkoyo. He was committed to his priestly duties and prayerful in spite of many duties. How is your prayer life as a Christian or as a Muslim, whatever faith you belong to? He was selfless in serving humanity. He loved to bring people together. He was a symbol of unity. As I was reflecting on this, I recalled my experience of visiting India 2 times, 2017 and last year but one. Last year but one I went there for surgery, my prostate. But I noticed something, and I tried to read a little about India. India has a diversity of people, different tribes, different religions, Hindus, Muslims, Buddhists, and so on. But in spite of that, they're able to get along together because they believe in unity, in diversity. And they follow Mahatma Gandhi, the founder, main man of the state, who believed in Satyagraha, truth force. They still honor that man, and they follow his philosophy of unity in diversity. If you look at India, it is one of the highly developed countries. Anyway, just to calm down, I was impressed in the hospital where I was hospitalized for 4 days. And then I moved to another hospital. My doctor was a Muslim, Dr. Muhammad, but he was working along with others who are Christian, Buddhist, and others very well. And he was respecting me, not as a bishop, but because I was his patient. One time I had gone to have my catheter removed. I was surprised. I was seated in one of the corners on the wheelchair. He came to me, said, "You're not yet been treated?" He ordered one of the young men, "Please, have this man treated." You know, we lack that, my friends, here in Uganda. We need to learn from Father Alrbert and others. He brought all people together, regardless their race, tribe, or religion. As I've already said, he was modeled in life. How are you in your life? He was a good time manager. How are you managing your time? How are you managing your time? He was an exemplary leader, a role model, the light to the world, the salt of the earth, as the Lord says in Matthew chapter 5, verse 13, 16. Can you be also a light of the world to others, in your family, in your school, in your class, in your community? For students, do not be satisfied with the minimum. Aim high in your studies and career to do more. Father Alrbert worked for a master's in human resource management in spite of his busy schedule. The question still remains, what can you take from this lecture for your life? As I come to conclusion, it is almost 16 years since Father Alrbert passed on. He left us a legacy that still speaks loud and clear, touching our minds and hearts and our lives with what he said and did throughout his life. Let us continue to follow his vision at this university as he was co-founder. He worked with others without segregation, but with a spirit of true love for humanity. He was God-fearing, was a God-fearing man, and trusted God, in whom he believed strongly, who influenced who he was. Let us carry on his legacy to greater heights through this university, in our lives, and where the Lord may be sending us from here. And let's conclude reading from the scriptures, Luke chapter 17, verse 11 to 19. This is the story that we may be familiar with concerning Jesus healing the 10 lepers. As he continued his journey to Jerusalem, he traveled through Samaria and Galilee. As he was entering a village, 10 lepers met him. They stood at a distance from him and raised their voice, saying, "Jesus, Master, have pity on us." And when he saw them, he said, "Go show yourself the priests." As they were going, they were cleansed. And one of them, realizing that he had been healed, returned glorifying God in a loud voice. And he fell at the feet of Jesus and thanked him. This was a Samaritan. Jesus said in reply, 10 were cleansed, were they not? Where are the other 9? Has none but this foreigner returned to give thanks to God? Then he said to him, "Stand up, go, your faith has saved you." Well, we are here for this Thanksgiving service. Let us strive to be like that one leper who returned to give thanks to God, or thanks to the Lord Jesus who healed him. We are blessed, all of us, in many ways, but more so blessed because of being here at Mountains of the Moon University. Whatever position we hold, as students, as staff, teaching and unteaching, guardians, sponsors, parents, let us always strive to be grateful to God and do our best with what we have, the spirit of gratitude. God bless you and thank you for your kind attention.